Oh, hello. Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to try and take you through everything we learned about Kill Team Into the Dark from the recent Warhammer Plus battle report. So for those of you that don't know, because you either subscribe to Warhammer Plus but you kind of have forgotten about it, which I have done for a little while, or you don't have Warhammer Plus and you kind of avoid hearing about it, they recently put out a Kill Team battle report on that service. And as is usual in these battle reports, they have revealed a fair number of rules for things that we didn't know about. So I've tried to collect all the things that we found out that I didn't already know and put them in this presentation for you so you can kind of keep up with what people are talking about. So on this slide, and I apologise, it's a really busy slide. I was kind of collating these as I was watching a battle report. I didn't realise they were going to give quite as much stuff away as they did. Obviously, where they've put something on the screen, I have taken a screenshot of the rules text. Okay, some of the stuff written down is stuff that I deduced from dice rolls and things. May make mistakes here, there and everywhere in those things. I do apologise for that. I'm doing the best I can to kind of follow what's going on. So the Navy team, it's either 7 or 8 wounds base. The reason I say that is they have one of the revealed piece of equipment that they have is the stims. Nick Baton gave the stim out to 8 of his 10 operatives, and I just didn't quite follow which ones had the +1 to wound, +1 wounds. So I think the likely thing is they're 7 wounds base, and then the interaction I actually saw go through was a model that had the stim for +1 wounds. If that is the case, I will say that that's huge for 1 EP. I can see why Nick's done that, because if you're a 7 wound team, paying 1 EP to go to 8 wounds is massive. If you're a Space Marine, paying 1 EP for an extra wound is not necessarily, never mind. But paying 1 AP to go from 7 to 8 wounds is massive. The BS is basically 4, and they appear to have a 4-up save generally. Okay, so we're going to go through the different models. So we got the Sergeant at Arms. He's here. Okay, apologies, this was originally bigger. I had to shrink it down a little bit for all the rules text we got on. So they showcased an alternate male head for this. So in the ones we've already seen, he had a bear female head. There's a few more bear heads sort of scattered through the team though, so I guess there's a good range of heads available to the team. He has a chainsword and an heirloom auto pistol. We also know a bolt pistol is an option, but we haven't really seen a plasma pistol yet, if there is one. Okay. We know that when they play these battle reports, especially when it comes to things that are physically on the model, they don't always make the optimum choices. They don't always pick up the optimum models. They're not playing with their own models. They're playing with stuff they've borrowed from the sort of company's collection of display miniatures. So don't assume because it's got this loadout that's the loadout that Nick thought was the best loadout for the Sergeant. I have a rule called Command Breach. So Command Breach, at the start of the first strategy phase, select the attack order or defense order strategic ploy until the end of the battle. While the operative is in the kill zone, you can use that ploy without spending any command points. We'll look at that again. We've got another slide coming up which is talking about strategic ploys, so we'll go through that again. The Surveyor is the next guy that I want to touch on. So the Surveyor is the guy here who controls the CAT, the CAT. So the Surveyor has the Wayfind action. So Wayfind, let me just try and see where I put it. I put it up here. So Wayfind is essentially your comms, right? So you select one friendly Imperial Navy breacher operative within red of either the operative or the CAT unit, and you add 1 to its APL. The operative can't perform the action while within engagement range of an enemy operative. So you've got a comms with the bonus that the little CAT unit can be an alternate source of that. You can only do it once still, but it can be an alternate source of that ability, which is quite nice. And the CAT has something called Surveillance for 1 AP and something called Recon. I don't think they showed Surveillance on screen. They just said he has Surveillance ability for 1 AP. Recon, though, the CAT unit in a scouting step. After resolving your selection, you can pull a free dash with the operative, so it can get a free dash so it can move up the board. It has some of the kind of thing that it does, some surveillance thing, which they didn't show it, or if they did, I didn't catch it. The Grenadier, I'm just presuming. So the Grenadier is where is he? Where is he? He's this guy here. I'm just assuming he has grenades for free. They weren't really explicit about what was going on with the Grenadier, but I assume he's just a standard Grenadier with grenades. You've got this fella who's called Axejack. His thing appears to just be that he owns a power axe, okay, which is fine. The Void Jammer, which is the guy that keeps hold of the skull, okay. So he has the pet skull, which can be detonated for a devastating EMP blast. So there's a lot of things here. Detonate. Each time the operative performs a shoot action with this weapon, make a shooting attack against each operative within circle of a friendly Navis Geist Skull operative. They're all valid targets. After all those shooting attacks have been made, that friendly Navis Geist Skull operative is incapacitated. The operative cannot make a shooting attack with this weapon but performing an Overwatch action, or if a friendly Navis Geist Skull operative is not in the kill zone. So it goes forwards, explodes. We don't know what the damage is, but we do know it has this EMP rule. EMP, each time a friendly operative makes a shooting attack with this weapon has the lethal X special rule for that shooting attack. X is the target's unmodified save characteristic. That's pretty good. It makes it stronger against more elite teams. And it has the skull has the boost action, which I've put down here. Boost, 1 action point. Select a point in the kill zone that is visible to this operative. Treat that point as the intended target. Perform a free normal move action with this operative, moving in a single straight line with unlimited movement. It must finish that move within black of the selected point. The operative can only perform the action once and not during the first turning point. That's not that powerful in Into the Dark, but if you take this team onto a standard map, whatever we're going to be calling those now, open maps, Octarius maps, suddenly that's really powerful because you're going to have far more of the kill zone visible to your skull at any given moment. You're able to move really far and then explode, so that's really good. Ironically, it's actually nerfed by the mode of play they were showcasing a little bit. Still good, it's still useful. Also on the Void Jammer, so many screenshots through the Void Jammer. The Void Jammer himself has the interference pulse rule. So interference pulse for 1 action point. Select 1 friendly operative visible to and within red of a friendly Navis Geist Skull operative. Roll 1d6, adding 1 to the result if the enemy operative is in that friendly Navis Geist Skull operative's line of sight. On a 3-up, subtract 1 from the friendly operative's APL. The operative cannot perform this action while within engagement range of an enemy operative or if a friendly Navis Geist Skull operative is not in the kill zone. So I guess, and this is what happened in the battle report, you boost your Navis Geist Skull across, you know, and then he was able to, I don't know how he was able to do this, it needs 3 AP, but I think it was maybe the leader then does the death. So you use the interference pulse and then the leader detonated it, I think is what happened. It's not quite sure to me which of these come from the leader and which of these come from the skull, or if they're even separate activations, but yeah, it's okay. Hatch Cutter. So the Hatch Cutter has a chain fist. I don't know the stats on the chain fist, but it also has the breach point rule for 1 AP. Place your breach point token so it's within black of this operative and a terrain feature no more than black thick. Friendly Imperial Navy breach operatives can move through parts of the terrain feature that are no more than black thick as if they were not there, so long as they do so within black of this token. So this Hatch Cutter is really, really powerful in Into the Dark. Because what you can do effectively is you can make a door that only your team can use, that you can pop out, do stuff, pop back, and it can really, you know, and your opponent meanwhile has to take the long way around. Really, really solid. Is going to make these guys really, really powerful in Into the Dark. Does it have any utility in a standard game on Octarius terrain, say? I mean, sort of. I mean, Orc Commando players enjoy their Breacher Boy, and then this is effectively doing the Breacher Boy thing, but it creates a permanent hole the other guys can follow you through. So I guess it does still have pretty good utility. But in the Gallo Dart, this is absolutely key. Now I believe, you can only place the 1 token down, right? Certainly Nick Bacon only did it once in the game, so I believe you can place 1. You can't just put them here, there, and everywhere. It's still really cool. The breach wall, I didn't catch much information about the breach wall. He has a shield to cover his mates, which is what Nick said. I don't know how that actually works. And he seems to have 10 wounds base. Seems to have more wounds base, which is fair enough. The gunner, so that was the Navis breach wall. The gunner's this guy here. That was the hatch cutter guy. The gunner has a Navis las volley. The Navis las volley is 6. Hits on a 4-up 3-4. That's what they showed on screen. They said with their words that it was relentless as well. So that's a reasonable heavy weapon. 6 dice, 3 4s, hitting on 4s, but with re-rolls is not bad. Is not bad. And then the basic armsman. So they took breach and clear, as far as I can see, is actually a rule for the whole team. So breach and clear, methodical, professional and well-drilled, Imperial Navy breaches work as a unit to breach and clear the corridors and chambers of enemy voidcraft, space hulk, orbital stations and more. Once per turning point, when a friendly Imperial Navy breach operative is activated, you use the ability. If you do so, select one other friendly Imperial Navy breach operative visible to and within blue of that operative to be activated until the end of the turning point. Those operatives are treated as having a group activation characteristic of 2. When the first operative's activation ends, you must select the second operative, even if it's not of the same type, to fulfill the group activation requirements. So it's a group activation of 2 that you can turn on and off. I'm not therefore sure if I was right to say that the armsmen themselves, the basic warriors, have GA2. It was pretty confusing to know whether he was talking about their base stats or their breach and clear ability. They're armed with the Navis shotguns. Navis shotgun has 2 profiles basically. If you're in short range, range red, 4 dice hitting on 3s, 3, 3. At long range, 4 dice hitting on 5s, 1, 2. So that their basic gun is kind of bobbins. So my basic issue here with the breaches. First of all, I don't know whether the breach wall here, his gun looks a bit beefier, so I don't know if he's armed with the standard Navis shotgun. I also don't know if you're going to have to take any basic warriors with normal shotguns at all anyway. Remember, they don't always take the optimal stuff in these games. Both teams had 2 basic warriors. I'm not sure if you have to take 2 basic warriors. Okay, so the team here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus the 2 pets that I assume come for free if you take their handlers. Yeah, so it's 12 models, but 2 of them are the little pets. I'm unsure as to whether you've taken, we don't know the rules, so is it you take them, you get 2 for the price of 1 if you take the basic guys, which would make sense if they were GA2. But the shotguns are just bad. They're okay, I guess. I mean, 3-3 is not great, but they're okay in the Gallowdark missions where you're going to have more range red firefights, I guess. In Octarius, I'm using Octarius, I guess, as shorthand for the whole of open kill to standard. I don't want to call it standard because that's like a value judgment, but standard Octarius type map. I don't know how you're going to do anything much with these shotguns, because even when you're close to your range limitation, 3-3 is not great. It could be just like they. I don't think the shotgun has any other rules, because they've actually shown the hyphen on the screen here. With the las volley, they kind of cut it off and didn't write the word relentless. With the shotgun, I think that really is it. So they're going to struggle a little bit. They've only really got the heavy weapons guys, long range firepower, plus their ability to kind of try and do 1-2 damage with a 5-up. Talked a little bit about equipment as well. So the stim I've talked about, he gave out 8 stims. The only other piece of equipment that Nick chose to use, and hence the only other piece of equipment that we've seen the rules for, is the system override device, which lets you, in the scouting step, after resolving your selection, you can open hatch. If both players have the same ability, the defender resolves his ability first. So they have a piece of equipment that's exclusively useful on Gallowdark maps. Hopefully they have other bits of equipment so that if you're playing them on a normal, on an Octarius type map, you don't take this, you take something just as good that's more useful in that situation. For a Gallo Dark game, this seems really good. We're going to talk more about doors and how they work later on. For a Gallo Dark game, this seems like really good. It seems like something you're going to want to include, especially when you are a 2 APL team, as both of these teams are. Yeah. So let's look now at the Navy TAC Ops. They did a weird thing in this game. Both players agreed to take just all the faction-specific TAC Ops. Talk more about that later. To go through the TAC Ops, I don't like them really. Storm Target. Reveal this TAC Op in the target reveal step at the first turning point. Your opponent selects one objective marker. It can't be an objective marker that can be permanently removed from the kill zone, but it can be an objective marker that can be carried. At the end of the turning point, if friendly operatives are controlling the objective marker, you score 1 VP. At the end of the battle, if you control the objective marker, you score 1 VP. It's like the Novi TAC Op, but instead of you picking it, your opponent's picking it. Hate things where your opponent can choose things. I think on a Gallo Dark map, it's really easy to have a home objective that's really hard for the other person to get to with the way the walls and the doors work. On an open Octarius style board, it's still quite frequently the case that there's an objective, and notice it's nothing to stop it being an objective that's in the opponent's drop zone. I really don't like that one. Into the Breach. It's faction TAC Op 2. You reveal it at the end of the 4th turning point. If one or more friendly Imperial Navy Breacher operatives, excluding the Geisterskull and the Cat unit, are within red of your opponent's kill zone edge, you score 1. If 2 or more are, excluding the Geisterskull and the Navis Cat unit, are within red of your opponent's kill zone edge, you score 1. Yeah, I mean, it's like a slightly better version of the one in the security deck where you've got to get into your opponent's deployment zone, because you keep it secret that you're definitely trying to do that one until it's probably too late for them to do much about it, which is kind of nice. It's going to depend so much on what the board layout is, whether or not you're playing Gallo Dark or open, where the walls are, you know, what the drop zones are for that particular map. Really subjective, depending on the scenario in front of you, whether you put that in your deck or not. And then counteract. Reveal this TAC Op in a target reveal step of a turning point. If you use your Breach and Clear ability, so that's the one that lets you GA2, and during that group activation, one friendly operative incapacitates an enemy operative, and the other friendly operative incapacitates an enemy operative or controls an objective marker. At the end of that group activation, the friendly operatives that did not At the end of that group activation, the friendly operative does not control at the start of it, you score 1 VP. If you do it again, you score another VP. I mean, you want to try and get them big hero turns where you activate 2 of your models and they both kill somebody, but relying for your TAC Ops on doing the big hero thing twice per game seems a little difficult to pull off. I like it insofar as it will kind of incentivize you to really try and push yourself and go for the big wins, but the trouble is that going to make you lose the game because you're spending too much time trying to do this particularly difficult thing and you lose track of something going on somewhere else? So overall, it's a bit of a pass on the Navy TAC Ops for me. Into the Breach could be good depending on the setup. Storm Target, again, depending so much on the scenario, how hard is it going to... I mean, at least you can look at it and go, okay, I know which objective my opponent is going to pick, because I can see which one, it's usually obvious. I can see which one is going to be the hardest for me to score. How hard is the hardest thing for me to score, right? You can make an informed decision when you've got the board in front of you and you know the scenario. The ploys showed us quite a lot of the Navy ploys. I think probably all the strategic ploys. So we've talked about this command breach before. This lets you pick an attack order or defense order and let you do that for free every turn. So attack order. Place an attack order token anywhere in the kill zone. Each time a friendly Imperial Navy breacher operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack while within blue of the token, in the roll attack dice step of a combat or shooting attack, you can re-roll any or all of your results of one result, e.g. all the 2s. At the end of the turning point, you remove the token. You can't use it in the same turn as a defense ploy. And the defense order is exactly the same, but for the roll defense dice step of a shooting attack. So a couple of things. One, this could be really good on Gallowdark, where people are going to be naturally more bunched up into those rooms. You put a token down, slap down in the centre of the room. Obviously, I have to get my hands on the terrain, but I feel like if the token is in the centre of the room, blue is going to cover most of a particular room. So you stick it in the centre of a room, and you can go, I've got the ability in that room, more or less. It's going to be less useful on an open board, where you're going to be less kind of bunched up most of the time. But you can do it for free. I think the pick is always going to be to select attack order as your free one that you can do every turn for free if you want. And then if you need to on turn 1, as Nick did in the battle report, you could spend the 1 CP to do defense order in turn 1 if you think it's going to help you. But otherwise I would just be throwing out attack order markers for free. Why not? It's going to be the one used more often, I think. Close assault. Until the end of a turning point, each time a friendly Imperial Navy breacher operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack within blue of it, in the roll attack dice step of the combat or shooting attack, if you retain 2 or more successful hits, you can retain 1 of your failed hits as a normal hit instead. Again, it'll be better on a Gallowdark map because you're more likely to be doing, especially a shooting attack at somebody within blue, and many of those over, as it's just a strategic ploy. It's more difficult to. It's not bad, but it's more difficult to see it coming up because the buff is not that good, right? If you get 2 or more successful hits, you can turn one of them in. If you retain 2 or more successful hit, you can get another successful hit. Like, that's not that good of a buff if there's only one instance of that happening in a turn. One instance of a. So you're not going to play it just to buff the 1 close combat that you see is going to happen that turn. You're going to use it on a turn where you think you're going to get 2 or 3 instances of a shooting attack or a combat, but the shooting attack's got to be within blue. So again, on a Gallowdark map, yes, because we'll be fighting in closer confines. On an open table, I'm less enamoured of it. Brace for counterattack seems like it's pretty good. Brace for counterattack, 1 CP until the end of the turning point. Each time an enemy operative, fights in combat or makes a shooting attack against a friendly Imperial Navy breach operative that has not performed a charge, fall back, or normal move action during this turning point, subtract 1 from both damage characteristics of weapons that enemy operative is equipped with for that combat or shooting attack to a minimum of 2. That's really good, I think. You know, if you're in position defending something and you know that the enemy is going to come to you, you don't want to move to them because maybe you're on the objective, as happens quite a lot. You spend the CP on this and then you come a lot more hardy. For a 7 wound team, that's very, very useful. 7 wound team with 4 up saves, very, very useful thing. Lock it down. So this is black bordered, which means it's going to be a tactical ploy. Use this tactical ploy, also says a tactical ploy, which, yeah. Use this tactical ploy when a friendly Imperial Navy breach operative is activated. Select 1 objective marker until the end of the battle. When determining control for that objective marker, treat the operative's APL as being higher. This is not a modifier. Blah, 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 narrative play. You can only use this tactical ploy for each friendly operative once. But this is really good. Like, this is a really useful tool. You can put it on multiple people in your team to make them all effectively AP3 for a certain marker. You know, if you've got a marker, again with a central marker where all the fighting is happening, and you've got your AP3 team there thinking, I've got a massive advantage to leverage here because I'm AP3, you can spend CP to negate that massive advantage. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Overall, I think the Navy team is good. I think a little bit as I feared, they're going to be quite good in Gallowdark. I think they're going to struggle a little bit in open Octarius type boards. Obviously, we have to see which way things go. Maybe nobody's ever going to play, on Octarius ever again, and this version of the game is going to be so good. That's all we're going to want to play. But I do just struggle to see how the Navy make their things work when they've so blatantly been designed to work well in this new environment. And Does that mean they're going to be a little bit over-dominant in the new environment as well? I don't know. And this is why I've been saying for ages that the best idea for tournaments and things, I would say, would be to have a selection where you've got 2 missions, or 2 missions in the Gallo Dark and 2 missions on an open board, right? So that the teams that can do both give you the advantage, rather than the teams that lean one way or the other. And also that encourages rostering play. But that's flogging a dead horse. I've said that before. Let's get on to the Kroot. Kroot. Right. So the Kroot appear to be 8 wounds base. I couldn't work out what they were doing with their armour. I couldn't work out what they were doing with their ballistic skill. I'm really sorry. The leader is called a Kill Broker. So the Kill Broker has a pulse rifle, 4 dice hitting on force 4/5. It might have some critical rules that I didn't see. Call the Kill. Once in each strategy phase, when it's your turn to use a strategic ploy or pass, you can select one enemy operative visible to this operative instead. Until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly Farstalker Kinband operative fights in combat with or makes a shooting attack against that enemy operative in the roll attack dice step of that combat or shooting attack, before rolling your attack dice, you can retain 1 successful normal hit without rolling it. My God, that was a lot of verbiage. Right, hang on. Once in the strategy phase, select an enemy operative visible to this operative. Until the end of the turning point, when you attack that operative, you can retain an extra a successful normal hit without rolling it. Okay, so you go, I don't like that plasma gun, we're going to kill that, and all your guys get a successful normal hit whenever they attack it. Fine, that's pretty good. Also, it's one of these free things that you can do in the strategic, you do this every turn in the strategy phase, you may as well. There doesn't appear to be a cost to it. That's great. The Kroot long sight sniper, who was said to have something called line up the perfect shot, but then it never seemed to come up in the game, so we didn't get any kind of information on how that works. It was a 1 AP to line up the perfect shot, but it didn't ever tell us what that was. The Kroot, and that's this guy by the way, the Kroot Cold Blood, who's the guy with the peg leg lurking in the back. He's hardy and tough to kill, but I got no idea what they mean by that. They didn't flash that one up. He's well stocked. So well stocked, the operative is equipped with the piercing shot and toxin shot. They don't cost equipment points, and they can be selected for the operative use twice instead of once. So it's like grenades, except for different pieces of equipment. So we go to one of the equipment points that the Kroot have is the piercing shot. They didn't show us the toxin shot. The piercing shot can be used with anyone with a Kroot rifle, Kroot pistol, or dual Kroot pistols. So your other guys can buy this for the 2 EP. The BS is the same as the Kroot rifle or Kroot pistol the operative is equipped with. 4 dice, 3/4, AP1 limited. Given that the standard rules for a Kroot rifle appear to be 4 dice, 3/3, so you're getting an extra point of critical damage and AP1 for 2 EP, but this guy's getting it for free. And then you presumably have another one, the toxin shot, that does something else. But AP1 is excellent. You know, he gets it for free, and you can buy this for anyone else with a standard rifle, and I guess that maybe you would. The fella playing the game didn't, but it doesn't have any kind of symbols there that would make me think that it was one. You only allowed one in your team, so it's only 1 shot. It is only 1 shot, although the Cold Blood gets to shoot it twice. That's pretty good. Kroot Warriors. So again, we took 2 basic warriors. Got no idea. Just like with Nick's team, no idea if that's because that's what you're going to need to do because of the way it's laid out, or if that's just because that's the models that were painted up by the heavy metal team, and therefore that's what we were doing, right? Or they wanted to keep the game a bit simple and not give away too many of the rules. But it does give us the reason to go through the rogue rule, so this seems to apply to all the Kroot, not just the basic warriors. The Kroot of the Farstalker Kinbands are experienced raiders, infiltrators and scouts. They have mastered the art of using local terrain to their best advantage, concealing themselves before launching ambushes. Each time a shooting attack is made against its operative, in the roll defense dice step of the shooting attack before rolling your defense dice. If you're in cover, you can do one of the following. Retain an additional successful normal save as a result of cover. Retain 1 dice as a successful critical save instead of a normal save as a result of cover. And that's pretty good. Like, that's pretty good. And what I like about the Kroot, unlike the Breachers, is that's really good on Octarius. That's really good whatever you're doing. That doesn't... In fact, I almost think there's more situations on Octarius where you're going to be shot and be in cover than there are on a Gallowdark board, where it seems like a lot of the time you're either going to be not visible because you're on the wrong side of a door or a wall, or you're going to be visible and not in cover unless you happen to be behind your barricade. There's not that much kind of waist-high light cover going on in the Gallowdark, but these guys, I think the Kroot will do really well on an open board. If you really like Kroot and you've been waiting for the Kroot bespoke team and you want to pick it up and you love open Octarius style games, I think you're going to do well with these. The Kroot Cutskin, which is a kind of a funny name, right? Kroot Cutskin, I'm not sure about that. So Vicious Duelist and Savage Assault. Savage Assault I put up here. AP1, perform a free fight action with his operative after completing the fight sequence. If the operative or the target have not been incapacitated, fighting this combat again with the same target using the same weapon again. So it's not as good as like the Repentant Novitiate, where you can just do 2 fights and you can do them against 2 separate targets, which the FAQ confirmed. This one explicitly, you have to be doing the same target twice. Like, you may as well, because it's 1 AP to do this rather than do a fight action, right? But it's very unlikely that it's going to come up, because usually at the end of a fight action somebody's dead. Maybe if you're playing into the new Intercessors team has got that many wounds to chew through, you're glad that you have this. You also have Vicious Duelist. Each time this operative fights in combat, in the roll attack dice step of the combat, for each attack dice your opponent discards, the enemy operatives in the combat suffer 1 mortal wound. So just in case anybody doesn't catch that, because it's slightly strange, when you discard a dice, that means it's you rolled it and you've missed, right? So if you have 4 attacks hitting on 3s, all your 1s and 2s are misses, you'll discard those dice. Now, against this guy, all your misses are going to cause you to suffer a mortal wound. Why not? Right, that's pretty cool. Vicious Duelist, Savage Assault, and I feel like they also gave us, they gave us the Cutskins Blades. So he has 4 dice hitting on 3s, 3/4 damage, balanced lethal 5 up. Like, he's a really capable, really good, I think he's got a good little suite of rules. He's a really capable, quite powerful combat guy. You know, he's not a power fist. He's not got your big crits of, whoops, I killed you in 1 hit. But he is likely to get 2 crits with his lethal 5 up and his balanced and his 4 attacks. So he's likely to get to the 2 crits to the 8, which is good. It's going to kill, you know. You can do 4/3 to kill a 7 wound thing in 2 hits. Get 2 crits to kill an 8 wound thing in 2 hits. Against beefier things, he's got his Vicious Duelist. He's going to do a couple of extra wounds. He's got a Savage Assault. If you keep him alive, he's going to get a 2nd fight. I think he's a pretty good character. Kroot Tracker. So the Kroot Tracker was previewed, so I'm not going to go all into not the Fellowship, that's the Corsair one. The Kroot Bird and what it does and how it lets you do things, because there's a whole Warcom article about that. But they gave us an extra thing, so he's also the comms, is the tracker. So from the eye above, 1 action point, select 1 friendly operative visible to and within red of the operative, and 1 APL. The operative can't perform any action while in red of an enemy operative. So good, he's just also, so that makes him really good, because he's your comms, plus he's got the thing which might be slightly marginal utility, but he's got that on top of being comms. That makes him an auto include in every list now, right? Right, Pistolier. So the Pistolier they said that he had something to shoot his pistols at your enemy before they could fire, and he can salvo with both pistols for 1 AP. The only rule we found for him is this Gunslinger Salvo. Perform a free shoot action with the operative with the dual Kroot pistols it's equipped with. After the shooting attack, you can make another shooting attack with the dual Kroot pistols the operative is equipped with. The operative can't perform the action if it's on a conceal or while within engagement range of an enemy operative, it can't perform a charge, fall back, or normal move in the same activation which performs this action. So if you stand still, you can shoot twice with your dual Krupp pistols. That's pretty cool. I think there's more to it. I think it's got something to do with being able to interrupt your opponent as well, potentially. Don't know. And we don't know the stats for the pistols, unfortunately. Foe Hunter is here. It's said to be an accelerator bow with many arrow types. Didn't get any rules flashed up for it, but it's an accelerator bow with many arrow types. The Londraxi Tribalast is said to be an anti-armor weapon. Again, didn't really flash anything up for it. And the Krupp Hound, notice they only got one Krupp Hound, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 models plus the Krupp Hound. Be really interesting to see if you can take more than one Krupp Hound, or if you'd want to, but that's what they've gone for. It just said he's bad-tempered and eager to get into the fight. Maybe wonder if he had some rules where he had to charge, if he could, or something like that. But again, didn't really show us much about the Krupp Hound. So they showed us more about the Navy and the Krupp, I feel like. All right. They did show us a little bit about the armory of the Krupp. So they've got, we've talked about piercing shot because somebody could get it for free. Meat for 3 equipment points. Once you're in a battle, when an operative is activated, you can use this ability. If you do, the operative regains D3 plus 1 lost wounds. Pretty strong. The fella in the back rep took this on 2 models. The Ritual Blade, 2 EP, only for the Kill Broker. So it's the knife he's got on the model, but you have to pay 2 EP if you want it. Which gives you a 3 attack, hitting on 2s, 4-5 damage knife. I feel like that's pretty good. It's a bit of an EP tax for something that I think you're always going to want to take. And they've got a grenade, right? So it is limited to 1 as per the FAQ, because indirect, limited quill grenade, 4 dice, hitting on 3s, 2, 3. Not bad, not great. It's got blast, it's a frag grenade. Okay. Fine. No crack grenade though, apparently, but, you know, maybe they have. They haven't necessarily shown us the whole thing. Okay. I quite like the Krupp team. You know, they appear to be less Rube Goldberg-y than I feared. And unlike the Navy breaches, they appear to be quite balanced between both modes of play. They don't have a lot of tricks that are exclusively Gallo Dark-y. Right, Crew Tac Ops. And again, they showed us all 3. So, Firestalker Kinband, Faction Tac Op 1. Reveal this Tac Op the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated. Each time an enemy operative is incapacitated, before it is removed from the kill zone, place one of your meat tokens under... meat tokens? I don't know. Place one of your meat tokens underneath the operative as close as possible to the centre of its base. The pick-up action can be performed upon your meat token by friendly Firestalker Kinband operatives, even if they are carrying another objective marker or token. At the end of the battle, the total number of your meat tokens that friendly operatives control is equal to or more than a quarter of the number of enemy operatives selected for deployment. You score 1 VP. If the total number of your meat tokens that friendly operatives control is equal to or more than half the number of enemy operatives selected for deployment, you score 1 VP. It feels like it's really hard to score, and that's not even the thing I like the least about it. The thing I like the least about it is a silly thing, but if you're playing against Necrons, kill a Necron, the Necron drops a meat token. Why? I know for balance, but like, there are quite a few. There are things in kill teams that aren't made of... I mean, even in the game they played, they made a joke of it, because they killed the cat, and the cat dropped a meat token, despite being a little robot. Seems really hard to score, especially against a Horde team where you've just got to get so many of these tokens and pick them up and carry them around. Balance the Books is like the most annoying and objectionable tac op, and it doesn't even necessarily mean it's bad, but it's literally win more. Like, I was just reviewing the Astartes, the Intercessors squad, and they've got a tac op that's basically win more, but this is literally win more, right? You can reveal this tac op when you score maximum victory points from another tac op. If you score maximum victory points from a tac op and no more than half of your operatives have been incapacitated when you do, you score 1 VP. If you score maximum victory points from another tac op and no more than half your operatives have been incapacitated when you do so, you score 1 VP. Are you winning? Would you like to win more? Because that's like unambiguously literally what it is. I don't know how good this is, because they might only have access to TAC-op decks that are really bad and have lots of things to trade out, and it comes to the point where you may as well put this in. I mean, you literally don't have to do anything. It just makes all your other TAC-ops and not dying more high stakes. If that's what you want to do, I would say it's probably better to try and diversify. But if you cannot otherwise get a third TAC-op that you're confident about scoring, and you're confident about scoring the other two that you have, then okay, throw this one in. But it's literally like, it's just funny because it's like, oh, you've got 2 points for this, so now you can have 2 points for that. Okay, all right, okay. But we don't know what their other TAC-ops are, or even what the other TAC-ops are, possibly. Bounty Hunters. Reveal this TAC-op in the target reveal step. At the first turning point, your opponent selects one of their operatives. If that enemy operative is incapacitated, you score 1 BP and place your bounty token underneath the operative as close as possible to the center of its base. If a friendly operative performs the confirm hit action... If a friendly operative performs the confirm hit action, you score 1 BP. I don't know what the confirm hit action is, because they truncated the text and didn't tell me what the confirm hit action actually was. Let's try and imagine what it might be. It's probably going to be 1 AP to like 1 AP to stand at the token. 2 AP to stand. Is it 1 or 2 AP to stand at the token? I don't like it, just because it's one of these things where your opponent controls what you try and do, right? Oh, I bet you can't kill this guy that I'm now going to stand at the back, right? Because that's what I always put them on when I'm given this choice. Like, oh, I've got to come here and get... a friend of mine who plays Thousand Suns likes to use his one of these TAC-ops. Like, I'll put it on the Dialogus, who's going to stand at the back, toss out a few +1 APs, and generally just keep out of harm's way. And you have to get all the way over to where I'm hiding that model. I just don't rate them. I just don't rate them. Right, and their ploys. Saw a few of their ploys. Right, okay. So, strat ploys on the right now, tactical ploy on the left. Prey, 1 CP. Until the end of the turning point, friendly fire-stuck command operatives gain the following ability. Prey. Each time the operative is activated... Now, this is happening... Bear in mind before I read this out, this is happening to all of your operatives. Each time the operative is activated, you can use this ability. Okay, you choose when you activate to turn it on or off. That's crucial. I thought it was automatic. So you pay your CP, so you can choose to activate Prey whenever you activate any of your models. If you do, you become balanced and heavy. It's not as bad as I thought, because it doesn't force all your guns into heavy mode. Okay, it gives your guns effectively a toggle where you can choose, okay, do I want to be balanced and heavy this turn? So if you know you're not going to shoot with, I guess, more than one of your if you know that you don't need to move this turn with at least like 1 or 2 operatives, then maybe you turn this on to give them balanced. But yeah, it's fine. Again, it's one of those things, paradoxically, actually going to be better outside of the Gallowdark, right, where you're going to need to be less mobile, and maybe you've got you've got your sniper, so he's probably going to stand still quite a lot of the time, okay, and his gun might be heavy already for all we know. Don't know. Haven't seen stats. And then you've got your big heavy gunner guy that's maybe standing still somewhere. Maybe it's useful. Maybe it's useful. Maybe it's useful. But I'd probably say it's more useful on an open board than a Gallowdark board. Farstalk. Really rate this highly. This is great. Farstalk, 1 CP. Immediately change the order up to 3 friendly Farstalk command operatives that are more than blue from enemy operatives. So because you do this in the pre-firefight phase, means that you can have some guys that you ended the turn on because they shot, so they ended the turn on engage. You can flip them onto a conceal. They can then benefit from that conceal, all while the opponent would like to shoot them until you activate them, and then you can flip them back onto an engage for their second activation and go back to shooting, and then in your next turn flip 3 of them back onto conceal again. So they never actually have to be on conceal when you want to shoot with them, but they're on conceal for as long as possible while the opponent's trying to shoot with them. That's quite good for 1 CP. That's quite good for 3 operatives. I like that. Cutthroats. 1 CP until the end of the turning point. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons that you have to a maximum of 4. It could be useful. It's going to depend on what melee weapons are, what you're attacking, what the thresholds are, what your weapon skill is with that particular weapon. Like, a lot of the time in melee, you're trying to get a hit and a crit. So, are you going to get 1 hit and 1 crit without this? Then you don't need it. If the statistics works out that you need this to help you roll the extra dice to make it more likely to get you hit and a crit, then maybe you turn it on. Hard to say from partial data of what the team's actually got how good that is or not. It depends on so much. Vengeance for the Kinman. I really like Vengeance for the Kinman. Vengeance for the Kinman sounds great to me. So use the tactical ploy when a friendly Farstalker Kinman operative is incapacitated until the end of the battle. End of the battle. Like, your eyes always have to pop out when you see that sentence on any rule. Until the end of the battle. Each time another friendly Farstalker Kinman operative fights in combat or makes shooting attack against that operative in a roll attack dice step of that combat or shooting attack, you can re-roll any or all of your attack dice, and you can't use that tactical ploy in the battle again until that enemy operative is incapacitated. Well, straight away, you know, I'm thinking about my novitiates with my leader with a plasma pistol who does most of the work for the team, right? So now you kill 1 crew. Okay, cool. Vengeance for the Kinman. The entire rest of the crew team has a massive advantage now in trying to kill that model, and will do for the whole game. That can be really good. And as most teams have, you know, a plasma gunner is the classic example, or something similar, the single one thing that's going to be the most killy thing on that team, right? Usually some kind of gunner, okay? Maybe a close combat guy of some sort, right? A really good ploy. I really like it. And it's only 1 CP. It's great. Right. Now, this is the best. If you've suffered through the, oh my lord, 46 minutes so far in the video, and you've got to the good bit, you've got to the bit where we're going to talk about what's going to actually change the game, right? Because you've sat through the bits about the teams that maybe you do and don't care about. Core rules. Here we go. So there are doors. The doors are really cute, little plastic doors with hinges, and the doors can open and close. Opening a door, 1 AP. They stay open, don't block line of sight. Closing a door, 1 AP. Right? You have to be in base-to-base contact to open and close the door. They didn't flash it up on the screen. This is just what I deduced from watching the video. Okay? Got a new core action called Guard. Now, they haven't given us the whole text of the rule. So what they have said, Guard is 1 AP. The operative goes on guard, see below. An operative is on guard until they perform a guard attack or any action, excluding pass. An enemy operative ends an action within engagement range of it, and it does not make a guard attack. The order is changed to conceal the end of the turning point. So this action is treated as a shoot action. Operative can't perform the action. It has a conceal order or while in engagement range of an enemy operative. So it's kind of similar to what Phobos have. Phobos one is better because they can be concealed and they only go on engage once they've shot. Whereas the guard action that everybody can do, it basically gives you Overwatch, like old school Overwatch. And as far as I can tell, even though the actual guard attack hasn't been shown on the screen, the guard attack is a standard shooting attack at -1 ballistic skill. Really good. A lot of the game is going to now revolve around setting up your heavy weapons guy, pointing at a doorway on guard. Like that's what the gameplay kind of becomes, because you've got these doorways, these choke points, and then if somebody opens the door, they're going to get a face full of whatever it is that you're pointing at the door with the guard action. You know, I really like that. I really like that conceptually, right? Really do. I'm sure somebody's watching this going, that sounds horrible. I never want to go into the Gallo Dark, but that sounds really cool to me, right? You don't have to choose to shoot when something moves into line of sight. That did come up from the game as well. So you can be sat there, entering the door, aiming at the doorway, and if they send through like a basic warrior, and you can see there's someone juicier that's going to come in behind him, you can go, I'm not going to shoot that guy. I'm going to wait, and so you don't have to do that. And like I say, it does seem like it reminds one to hit. Another new action, hatchway fight. I'll read it, but it's more complicated than it needs to be. The action is treated as a fight action, and an operative can perform this action if all the following are true. It's not within engagement range of an enemy operative. Its base is touching an open hatchway access point. An enemy operative is blocking the access point. An enemy operative is blocking the access point if it is on the other side and within circle of the access point, as shown in the diagram. Fighting combat with the active operative against the enemy operative blocking the access point. In the select valid target step of that combat, the enemy operative is a valid target. It just means that if you're kind of just out by a door like this, but not quite in base to base with it, and I can't place my base on the other side of the door because they've got this concept of blocking, I can still fight you through the hatchway. You can't have a sort of, can't touch me kind of a nonsense. Right, this could be boiled down to, you can fight through doors, don't be a dickhead. Right, but I know that a lot of people that play this game like tight rule text, so there is your small essay on why exactly that works. But it does boil down to you can fight through a door, and don't try and be weird about it, okay? And then the big one, I think, is this little gem. Condensed environment, right? Close quarters amplifies the impact of certain weapons, but the low ceilings and level floors mean targeting enemy operatives must be more direct. Weapons with blast, splash, and torrent gain lethal 5-up special rules. So, flamethrowers, I mean, I'm quite pleased because I play novitiates and I've got 2 novitiate flamethrowers that are already better, that already have a ploy to make one of them even better, and now they've all just got lethal 5-up whenever we're on the Gallowdark. Cool. Right? Do you know what else is really happy with this? Mrs. T.I. is laughing because her, the Legionary Psyker, it's got that big blast that's a bit ridiculous, right? That really wants to crit, and now it's got lethal 5-up. So blasts, torrents, splash weapons. Now the big question to me is, does it make, for me, an novitiates player, it's great, right? I wonder if Compendium, bear with me, Compendium Custodes might see a resurgence, because they can take 10 flamethrowers. If that's what they wanted to do, you can take 10 Sisters of Silence with flamethrowers. Like, somebody's going to have to test that, because it might be absolutely ridiculous. Don't know. But with those 2 exceptions, and the Burner Boy and Commandos, I mean, I think Commandos are in a really good spot with this, because their Breacher Boy is pretty useful, and they've got a Burner Boy. I think they're going to do really well as well. And they've got a Blast Rocket guy. So, if he hasn't already, expect a really smiley comment from Goblin with many eyes in the comments section. But I think Commandos are kind of in the pound seats here as well. But the big question is, for those kind of Imperial teams where the flamethrower is still a trade-off against a plasma gun or a melter gun, does it make the flamethrower worth taking? Probably not, but maybe, because it's not just the actual kind of explicit buff to torrent in that you're getting the lethal 5-up, but it's also the implicit buff to torrent, whereby if your guys are kind of, they're going to be more likely to be in a position where torrent's going to be able to hit multiple of them because they're being funneled down these corridors and into these rooms. So flamethrowers, yeah, flamethrowers. We'll see how that shakes out. But on the face of it, like, oh man, Compendium Tyranids with the acid Moors with splash, right? Just flipping loads of them. Oh. No, Compendium Tyranids in general, though, like, they'd be quite good, wouldn't they? It's got a lot of ramifications, this, for things that you may have, like Compendium things that you may have completely forgotten about, and suddenly thinking, oh, Compendium Tyranids, yeah, actually, Gene Stealers, funnily enough, are really good in the Space Hulk, because they're really, really, like, fast and ruthless in combat. And also the Hormagaunts with the Acid Maw, well, that's really, really, really good now as well. Like I said, Sisters of Silence can take a phenomenal number of flamethrowers. Like a flamethrower is better than a bolter now in the Gallowdark, right? So if you're taking a shooting sister, you take a flamethrower. Why not? Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else. We'd have to reevaluate the Plague Spewer in Death Guard if Death Guard really needed any help. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other video, isn't it? Going through it, what might be good now, especially the compendium stuff that's right at the back of my mind. Like, what might secretly be really good now? And I'm not sure that's what the Kill Team meta wants, is somebody going, well, actually, I know that you've probably haven't really play tested this with the compendium stuff. Did you know there's this compendium team from like a year ago that everyone's forgotten about, but actually it's really ridiculous in this new mode of play? I could see that happening and shaking up the community a little bit as well. The mission! I thought I'd give this its own slide because it's more confirmation of how missions are going to work. First of all, there's a bit of... What shape is this board? What shape is the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not square, but it seems more square, maybe, than a standard Kill Team board. I don't know. But it's showing you where the walls are going to be. I'm going to presume that in the actual thing, the walls are all given these code numbers like A3, A4, A2, B3. These grey squares represent kind of the locating things on the board, so you can see where you are, you can see where the grid is, you can see how everything's got to be laid out. And these white lozenges show you where the doors have to be. Okay? Which is good, and then it gives you your drop zone here, your drop zone there. I will say one thing for this, it's going to be much quicker to set up because everything's on this grid pattern, so there's no kind of working out, oh, well, where's red from the center line on a diagonal, get a laser line out, measure from like that point to that point, and work out where your deployment zone is. No, this is really quick to go, bam, 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 put everything down, let's play. That's good, that's really good. 3 objective markers, 1, 2, 3, and then at the end of each of the 4 turning points, 1 VP for each objective controlled, and that was it. So it's a really simple scenario. I'm guessing this is like probably they chose to play this one because it's the simplest scenario with the least going on. It's like the default scenario. Really interesting game. Really interesting game. You know, watching the battle report, Nick was in player B with his breaches, and he was able to come and take this point, and the crew were able to come and take this point, and neither player felt able to really challenge that status quo because of having to move in, open this door, and then come round this corner, and then potentially be shot. Like this little stick here, the B1 here, and this little stick here, the B1 there. And having to go around them, really, and I can't quite see the logic, but they both work for GW, they both know how to play games. Neither of them really seem to be able to get into those from the other side, plus the distance is involved, right? And then there was a big, cool fight in the middle, with lots of doors being opened and closed, and stuff, so that was cool. It was a fun game to watch as well. If you've got Warhammer Plus, I do suggest going back and watching the game. I might watch it again, actually, while I'm not going through and pausing it every 5 minutes and putting pictures in a PowerPoint. I might watch it again while I'm painting or something, just to enjoy it. So some general things. As I've been saying, it was a 30-minute video, and extremely well produced. Like the production value, and I'm going to get some hate for this because I know, and people I like and respect as well, that really don't like Warhammer Plus, and are like, oh, why do you subscribe to Warhammer Plus? Oh, Warhammer Plus this, Warhammer. I know, I get it, but I would challenge you to find something that's as nicely produced as this, because they've got like a team of staff and video editors and everything else, and it's not like one man in his shed making the battle report. It's secondaries. So I have questions about secondaries. It's not clear to me if picking secondaries has changed, if they've removed the randomness from picking secondaries. It's not clear whether the secondaries deck has changed. Maybe it has because Vantage is in there. Maybe it hasn't, and it's just like, well, obviously don't take Vantage because you can't score it. It's only one objective. Well, for whatever, I think it was probably just a production team decision that they were going to take the faction tac ops, each of them take all 3 faction tac ops, so that we see them and they don't tip their hand regarding what they have or haven't done with the standard tac ops. The other thing I'll flag up, because I did see someone saying that there's no There's no barricades because they couldn't see any. There are new miniatures for the barricades. So I've done a little screenshot here. There's this barricade that's like 4 stacked crates. And there's this barricade that's like a little generator with 2 plasma cells. Those are the new barricades. They are thicker, right, than the barricades from the last edition of the game. I imagine that I don't know whether these new barricades will become mandatory. They are thicker. They're not quite an inch thick, so I think you can still fight through them if you're both base to base, but they are thicker than the barricades were. I imagine they've done this purely because, and every Kill Team player has this frustration, your barricades fall over and get pushed around really easily because they're so thin. So now if you're going to use these new barricades, yeah. And these don't have anything particular, like this generator thing with these things and these crates, these will look perfectly fine on any other board, right? A perfectly good reason to be there. So whether or not I swap to using these barricades full time or whether I want to keep using my existing barricades, I don't really know. But that's cool. The doors, it's so cute. The doors physically open and close in the little plastic bulkhead. You push them with your finger and the door kind of swings around. I really want to see how that's physically built and hobbied. Whether or not it's going to be a right pain in the backside to do, or whether they've made it really, really easy. But that's really, and so you can tell at a glance, is that door open and closed? Don't need no marker, don't need no token. The door physically opens and closes, which is great. Floor. This is a plastic floor. Like, they were playing on a plastic floor. As far as I can see from the photos of the game on the website, to paper floor, it has been suggested they're playing on the Necromunda floor tiles. These are not the Necromunda floor tiles. The Necromunda floor tiles are like, they don't have all these holes and lines in them. They're like smooth. So where are they going to put? I now suspect Galadark box comes out with paper mat as a separate product. You can buy, probably quite expensive, the plastic tiles to play on to upgrade your experience from the paper mat is, I think, the way they're going to do it, which I'm sure will give people conniptions on the internet going, oh, why do I have to pay extra? This should have just been in the box. But you can play a perfectly good game on the paper mat. That'll be the same size, I'm sure, right? Final thoughts. I'm really hyped to play games in the Galadark. I'm really hyped to play games in the Galadark, right? Really, like, bring it. I want to play the games in the Galadark a lot. Weirdly not that hyped for the 2 teams. I think I want to stick with my novitiates for at least a little while longer and see how because I think they'll do reasonably well. As much as I left a comment on Crit's video saying, because he was like, oh, doing a rundown of, which teams do I think will do well or not well in the Galadark? He didn't mention novitiates. I don't think they'll be very good, but I think that they'll do well in the Galadark. What did you watch this? Did anything happen that I missed? Specifically things to do with deducing the stat line for anyone based on dice rolls that happen quite quickly. I'm fairly sure I got everything that actually flashed up on the screen, but there may be more things that I missed that were less obvious than a big thing coming up on the screen. And really interestingly, I'd like to know, what burning questions do you have now? Do you think there's more? Obviously, there's a bit more about the teams that we don't know, but is there any more core rule stuff that you think still needs to be answered? Because actually, at the moment, I'm quite impressed with how little they've had to layer on and change to the core Kill Team rules. I saw some speculation, people going, oh, it's not the same game, oh, they're going to change the scouting phase, they're going to change this, they're going to change that, they're going to change everything. It doesn't look like they've changed that much. That seems good to me. I wouldn't expect a whole host more. They've put in rules for doors. They've made blast and flame. They've done a sort of pass on blast and flamer things, and they've put in Overwatch, like old school. People call it XCOM style Overwatch. I think those people never played Necromunda, like first edition, but old school Overwatch. That's cool. Good. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a long one, just over an hour. So thanks. If you have got this far, then please do subscribe, give me something for my hour of talking to a camera and my hour of clipping things out of a Warhammer Plus video for your benefit. Like the video, leave me a comment, make me feel good about my life. Yeah, thanks everybody. Hope you have a great day. Bye bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.